Now on to the second half of the season, and we Google Earth our way to Houston, Texas, deep in the heart of Texas, for a date with the Houston Cougars on Saturday, October 19th. First ever meeting between the two Cougars. Houston went 5-7 last fall. They'll play at BYU in 2014. Among the notable Houston alumni, BYU head basketball coach Dave Rose. Tom, what do you like about the Houston Cougars?
Dave made me schedule that game. You know, this is a team that has been really good at times. A couple years ago, they had a run at the BCS. And a little bit down last year, but they'll be strong. They get great athletes in the state of Texas. It'll be a good game for us to go down there to be able to show in front of all those football players down there in the great state of Texas.
As far as where they're going to play it, it could be one of a number of venues down there. They just haven't told you. Right?
We'll play wherever they say, but they have some issues that they're clearing up, and we'll find out soon enough.
So you get Texas on the schedule and Houston. You like Texas football? You recruit there? You like playing the teams from there?
Just about every great team in the country goes to Texas to recruit.
Right.
BYU has the LDS athletes that we recruit across the country, but it's always good to get some kids from Texas, and we could probably do a little better job down there in Texas.
Worked out with Ty Detmer, didn't it?
Yeah, fine. Just
from
fine.
San Antonio. BYU returns home for Boise State on Saturday, October 26th. This is the rematch to last September's game in Boise, where the Broncos squeaked out a 7-6 victory despite not scoring an offensive touchdown. Boise State went on to finish 11-2, beat Washington in the Las Vegas Bowl. It'll be the Broncos' first trip to Provo since 2003. The game is set for Saturday. This one seems to scream ESPN Friday night. Maybe that'll change, Tom, over the course of the next few weeks. But and it's also the first of almost a dozen for BYU and Boise State to play.
I really like the fact that we have a long series against Boise State, and you're right. This game is kind of made for ESPN. Boise State made a name for themselves on ESPN, and I wouldn't be surprised if this one changes to a Friday night.
This is a good one where last year the team played so well on defense, and you've tweaked the offense just enough where you think that this is a head-to-head, a toe-to-toe type matchup where you got two teams about the same.
Boise State's played very well against us in the last couple of games that we've played, and this is a regional conflict. We need to get the upper hand in this, and we're going to play them for a long time. So I think we need to set the pace here at home and get back on track so that we can establish something strong against these guys down the road.
You like these regional conflicts, as we'll see in the weeks ahead.
One of the things I think is important is if we're going to be playing across the country, we need to come back home or play road games that are not too far from home, because just like playing in the NFL, when you go on the road back east, down south a couple weeks, it takes a lot out of you.
Speaking of going on the road, let's Google Earth. After a bye week, BYU is heading into the Midwest. Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin, to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. Saturday, November 9th. You Cougar fans in the Midwest praying for a visit? Here they come. It's BYU's first meeting against a Big Ten school in 20 years. Badgers went 8-6 last fall, lost in the Rose Bowl to Stanford. They hired former Utah State head coach Gary Anderson. They'll welcome BYU to Madison for the first time since Tom was playing in the defensive secondary in 1980, and you beat them 28-3. There'll be some fans in there that remember that afternoon. What do you like about this series?
I don't think they'll remember me. I was just a young, fresh sophomore at the time. But when you can play a Big Ten team like the University of Wisconsin in Camp Randall, I remember that game probably more so than most of the other games I played in. It's a great stadium, a great environment. Their students are incredible, and our players will have a great time there.
And they'll be back to Provo to kick off the season in 2017?
17, so we get to see Bucky Badger back in Provo.
All summer long to count down. Boy, that'll be a mega opener. BYU's home finale back here at LaVell Edwards Stadium Saturday, November 16th against Idaho State of the football championship subdivision. Bengals went 1-10 last year. Cougars beat them 56-3 in Provo in 2011. This game comes in between two of the biggest games of the year. And as you look at the way the schedule stacks up, you can't play Wisconsin every week. You need a team like Idaho State to come to town.
Well, I'm grateful that we have a team like Idaho State that will come down here to play us from Pocatello. Originally, we had another team penciled in, and it was really close to being contracted, and that team kind of left us in the lurch. So we're grateful that Idaho State had an open date and that we could fill that in for our 6th home game.
It'll be a little different. Again, an early senior swan song to say goodbye to the team as far as the home fans go. But there is a lot of football following this game.
There sure is.
Let's take you Google Earth Thanksgiving weekend for the big one. BYU at Notre Dame Stadium for a 2nd consecutive season in a Saturday showdown against the Fighting Irish on November 23rd on NBC. The Irish went 12-1, lost the national championship game against Alabama. Along the way, they managed to get past BYU 17-14 in South Bend. Cougars got to be eager to get back and take another shot.
A 3-point loss in South Bend. A lot of our players think they'd like to have that one back. Few key plays that really cost us the game, but I was proud of the way our guys battled on that turf against Notre Dame, a team that went to the championship game. And I know that this time going back there, there'll be enough guys on the team that had that experience from last year that they won't be staring at touchdown Jesus before the game.
When you sit in your office and you look at the scores and you look at these highlights, so close to a 12-1 season yourself.
So close, but yet so far away. This was a season last year that had a lot of opportunities that just kind of we couldn't grab onto, and that's why moving forward, this team is already in the planning stages, the workout stages, the dreaming stages, getting ready for next year.
The last member to show up to the party came late, but here they are. The regular season will end with a battle against Nevada at Mackey Stadium in Reno on Saturday, November 30th. The Wolfpack went 7-6 last year, lost to Arizona in the New Mexico Bowl in a shootout. They also lost head coach Chris Ault to retirement. This is also a home game for senior linebacker Kyle Van Noy, who started at McQueen High School in Reno. So much like Jimmer's game to upstate New York, his senior year, a great opportunity for Van Noy, who's come back for his senior year to play in front of some of his family and friends. The last time BYU was in Reno, 2002, and they got beat. These Cougars will show up ready to play, and this will be fun for Van Noy.
I think it's great that Kyle Van Noy gets to go home for that last regular season game. For him to come back this season, I think that's the least we could do was put a game on the schedule. This was kind of convoluted. We had a couple different scenarios of finishing off our season, but since this is a half-an-hour show, I did not have the time. But we're grateful that we were able to get Nevada to squeeze in there. This was the last piece of the puzzle that finished off the 13th season.
And they'll give you 2 home games in exchange.
We'll play them here in Provo in 14, and then down the road a little bit, we'll go. They'll come back here, and so we'll have 2 for 1 here in Provo.
One more trip on Google Earth here in our program. Should the Cougars become bowl eligible, they'll play in either the BCS or in San Francisco at the Kraft Fight Hunger Bowl at AT&T Park. Back in your old stomping grounds for a bowl game.
Yeah, I never played in that baseball field, but it is San Francisco, and it's a great location for the Kraft Fight Hunger Bowl. They've had some great bowl games there, and that'll be a good one. You can see Arizona State Navy were the opponents last year, and who knows who it'll be. But you know, maybe we'll be not in that game and playing in the BCS. But if not, I'll be happy to be in San Francisco.